Recently, major AI providers like Anthropic started to watermark the generated text, being it code, email, blog post, anything. What does it mean? It means now that the text that you're generating with the Claude, for instance, the Claude product, can be traced back to Anthropic, the owner of the product. So anything that you create with AI can be traced back and identified as such. It can also be traced back to your identity. The way it's done survives copy and paste, which means even if you take the text from Claude and paste it in your own text editor, it can still be traced to Anthropic. How is that even possible? Whether or not there are ways around this, we will find out in the video today. Stay with me. Let's see how watermarking works, at least in the Anthropic implementation, which uses Google SynthID SDK. Every time you are having an interaction with an AI model provider, the output is presented to you direct. But if Anthropic chooses to implement this SynthID SDK between the generation and the final text that is presented to you, something interesting happens. The token choice, if you want the word choice, is slightly altered based on a private key that only Anthropic has. So the final text is not identical with the initial generation of the model. It has a few alterations. For instance, instead of dark, they may choose gray. Instead of early, they may choose dusk or something like that. The more they do this, the easier it is to trace back the probabilistic occurrence of these tokens based on the key. So being probabilistic, it means the text is small, almost impossible to watermark it. You're safe. But the longer the text, the longer the surface for probabilistic choices, so the watermark will be stronger. Now, if you're just having back and forth with AI, there's no problem with it. But if you use it for long form content like blog posts, emails, reports, even books, it makes the text trivially easy to be identified as coming from AI. Now, there is an interesting situation that may happen here. First of all, it's true that we can see if the content that was generated was just made by AI, just invented by AI, and there is no author contribution. But look at this case. You write a blog post, you paste it into Claude and ask it to do some proofreading for you or some grammar check. Poof, the text that you wrote is now watermarked with Claude, so it looks like coming from Claude. So of course, one may think, are there any ways around it? You can actually erase the watermark? There are two ways. Stay with me. The first way, and the easiest one, is to heavily edit the text. If you choose different words, if you swap paragraph, if you start to do a very personalized rewrite of the content using your own choice of words, the watermark will be obliterated. No one will be able to recover that because you broke the statistical, the probabilistic pattern that Anthropic baked into the choice of tokens. That's the first way, and that is the one that I can recommend. The second one, use open source models. Anthropic is a private company, and they can do whatever they want. They have a closed model. But if you use open source models, they don't have this specific technology baked into it. Now, there is a tiny caveat here that you must be aware. The watermarking is done on top of the model. It's not baked into the model. It's not part of the model. It's something that happens after the first answer was generated. So you can have watermark text even with providers that give you open source inference. So if you go on OpenRouter and choose an open source model, you cannot be sure that model will not be watermarked. The implementation of this is a EU regulation request. It's basically a law in Europe that aims at curbing or at eliminating deepfakes and making easy to identify AI text. In a way, this is something that will make our lives easier. But like I told, if you watermark even the text that I wrote, not so much. So If you want to avoid this, use open source models, but with the caveat that you must use them on your own local machine, on your own local hardware. Now, right now, at the moment of this video, this is a little bit prohibitive. This is a little bit expensive to run a model with, let's say, 1 trillion parameters on a MacBook Pro. But who knows, in 6 months or 9 months, we can all have, extreme intelligence in our laptops. As usual, if you like this kind of content, make sure to like and subscribe. See you in the next video.